All right. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone's having a great day so far. We're going to go ahead and get started here. So, welcome to another week of Workout Wednesday live stream. So, every Thursday I do these. It's pretty fun. So, we just go through and I live build the Workout Wednesday challenge for the week, and it's a lot of fun. So this week we are going to be talking about jitter plots. So jittered box plots, to be specific, not just jitter plots, but a jitter box plot. So this week's challenge comes from Kyle Jitter, and he's one of the new coaches this year, so we're excited to have him along. And box plots are fun. They're good statistical analysis to show in your dashboards. And as he mentioned here, the jitter plot is very well documented by the folks who wrote the big book of dashboards. So if you've never heard of them or want to use or want to learn more, definitely check out the links in this blog here. But for the sake of today's challenge, we are going to basically be building a strip plot, a jitter plot for Major League Baseball players' age by team. So for those of you who aren't maybe aware, the Major League Baseball and the Players Union recently had a lockout. They canceled some games because they thought they wouldn't be able to get a contract in place, which is really unfortunate. But they figured it out, and baseball is back. So they postponed the season 2 weeks so that they could get the deal figured out. And now it's back. So this is what we're going to build. Basically what we've got here is we've got team names here, team abbreviations, and whether or not they made the playoffs in 2021 or not. Each dot represents a player on that team, and their position along the axis here is their age. So you can see the spread of who has younger players, who has older players, who has the oldest player, who has the youngest player, and so on and so forth. So that's what I think that's what jitter plots are really good at, is to show you the spread, where there might be a lot of different there might be a lot of people on the same that might have the same value, and it's just a nice way to show it. That is where you could use other techniques in Tableau, maybe on size, or you make a histogram or something like that. But a jitter plot is nice to see because it allows you to kind of quickly see the overall, the high level stuff. Hello there, Will. Glad to see you. Happy to see you here today, and we've got good stuff going. So let's see here. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. Not that one. This one. All right. So we've got two Microsoft Excel data sources that that Kyle has provided for us. Since this is player age, I'm going to go ahead and connect to the players data source first. He does say that we need to relate these together. So he's got a players data source, which is every single player in the league, their age, the team that they play for, their unique code. The reason we're using a unique code here is because there might be two people of the same name, and so that might get a little mixed up. So this is kind of like your player identifier. Their age, the team, and the league that the team is on. It also says we need to relate that to the other data source, so we'll go ahead and connect to Microsoft Excel again. Bring in that playoff team data source. Wait for Tableau to figure out what it's doing. Well, maybe we just need to start again. I have not had the greatest luck with 2021.4. It has been extremely buggy on my computer, so we might have to open a new instance of 21.1, which is the other version I've got, because this is pretty silly. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna go do that. So let's do new. We'll just build this in a prior version that I know is stable and works. But yeah, pretty interesting. And I'm up on all the maintenance releases, so I don't know what's going on. But so while we're waiting, I apologize for the wait here, but we'll get this going here in just a second. There we go. I can see it's coming now. I'm gonna force quit this guy. Okay, here we go. All right, let's do this again. Microsoft Excel, connect to the data source. Right here, players. We'll add a connection to this data source. Microsoft Excel. Playoff teams. Bring in that connection. This is, there we go. There we go. All right, and now we'll just bring in our secondary data source. We'll get our fun little noodle here. And it'll automatically be related on team, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and start building this. All right, so the first thing we need to do, if we just go back and look at the way he's got this, he's got playoff teams, no playoff team, or no playoffs. He's got that based off of this indicator right here. So I'm going to move this up to dimensions just because I like to know that, I like to make sure my IDs are exactly what they should be. So now we'll go ahead and call this playoff header. And I like to do, so there's two types of if statements. There's IIF and then just IF. So IIF is, I believe, what they call a literal F. Means that you only have two options. There is only if it's true or if it's not. And then there's the if then else end type of if statement. And that's where you can have multiple, you can satisfy multiple different conditions. So I like, for this, it's a Boolean field. It's 1 or 0. I just like to do the literal one. So so the field that we're going to do is playoffs. When it is true, which is a 1, then playoff team, comma, what is it? Any other time it's not 1 is no playoffs. And Let's see. Okay. So it's seeing here that I can't do this because I'm using an integer field as my as this. So that's interesting. Let me see if I can. Here's your string. Well, that's weird. I didn't know that was telling me that I can't do that. Okay, well, how about if I just change it to a string field? Will that work? Nope. String, okay. Then if I change this guy to a string, will that work? No. Why not? Boolean float. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but whatever. If Tableau is going to get angry at me, we'll just go do it the other way. Oh, Kyle's here. Kyle's online. Kyle's in the chat. So he's saying that, so since it's an integer, you have to say playoffs equal 1. Okay. Interesting. It is interesting. Alright, well, we'll change this back. There we go. So now we'll do playoffs equal 1. Then playoff team, else no playoffs. There we go. Well, that works. Okay. So we'll put that right up here. I'm gonna go ahead and sort this as we go. Sort this. I know it's this way. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip that sort. So Kyle also says that it needs to be a Boolean like that. So for the sort, it came in as the data source order, which is no playoffs and then playoff team, and then I just went ahead and just flipped that to descending. So that's all I really need to do with that. Next thing I'm going to do is bring in my team, and it's going to be at the next level there. And I know that later we're going to have a filter for league, so I'm going to go ahead and add that now, so I know that so we're building the exact same thing. I'm going to go ahead and show that filter. I like to move my filters over here, and it's a single value drop down. Just like that. He also says in the requirements that we need to sort based on, we need to sort the teams by median age. So he didn't say ascending or descending. So I'm interested in the youngest teams. So I'm going to sort this ascending by medium team, or by median age. So ascending by field, age, median. And that changed my sort there. All right, now let's go ahead and do this. So what I'm going to do is bring continuous. I'm going to flip my age because I'm not going to do any aggregation. And that's the thing about the about a jitter plot is you're not aggregating, or you're not aggregating at the lowest level, I should say. You could aggregate at a higher level and still be a measure. You would just need to, you probably need a level of detail to do that. But anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and change this to continuous. By making it a continuous dimension, whenever I drag this out here, it's not going to try and aggregate. It's not going to try and wrap it in a sum. And then I get a mark for each age. While we're here, I'll go ahead and change this to a circle, and I'll let that be for now. So now this is kind of a histogram of every distinct age for each team. But this still doesn't account for every single player. So what we're going to do is bring in player code, and I'm going to put that on detail. And it didn't look like it changed anything. But if I hover on one mark, you'll see that there are two items. There are two items that are actually highlighted, so they're actually stacked on top of each other. So this is where we get into, now there's two ways to go about creating the actual jitter and actually getting them to kind of go off place but still be on the same. So we're going to jitter them, which means we're going to place them randomly on the x-axis while still maintaining the same y value. A couple different ways to do it. The way that I always approach a jitter first is to do it based off of an index. So I'll just go in here and I'll do index. And then I need to make sure that I'm telling my, compute using my table calculation the right way. I don't need playoff header in there, but I do need team and age. And I'll put player, and then restart. Yeah, so put team up here, not age. Put every team up here. Restart every team. And now you can start to see in the background, you can start to see this changing, right? We kind of have like a unit chart right now. And that's just based off of how that's just basically how our data is structured. The values are, there's not really any decimal values, so it's always going to be a whole number. So that's kind of why you see that. And then if we wanted to make it even more random, right, we could add, we could put that on age, and now we have an index value for every single dot by person, team, and individual age. And so that's how it's actually placing the dot on the index axis. So that's one way to do it. The other way that I like to do it, the other way that is also available, is, I'm going to go ahead and bring this over. So here's a quick fun trick. You saw that I wrote this calculation based on, I just double clicked in rows and columns, and I just wrote index function. If I wanted to save this calculated field as an actual calculated field, I can just click and drag this while holding down the control or command key, depending on your operating system. So if you click and drag while holding control or command, and you see when you drag it into the data window, you can see over here right now the cursor has this little no dice symbol. But now when I drop it into here, it has a plus symbol. So whenever I drop it, it actually drops the name of it. So we'll call this index jitter. The other way that I like to do it, the other way that's also available is, it is an unsupported, meaning, or at least it was, I don't know if it is. Yep. So random is not supported. It is not fully supported by Tableau. Therefore, you cannot, if you have anything that breaks and you try to ask Tableau about it, they'll say, nope, not us. Because it's not supported. But interestingly enough, if you write random and open close paren, it does work. So we'll call this random jitter. And then what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll just replace it. And you can see it does the exact same thing. Does the exact same thing you might do in that other program some of us use, Microsoft Excel. It just randomly it just randomly generates a decimal to 4 digits between 0 and 1, right? So that's what the random function does. So pretty cool stuff there. So either way you like to do it, sometimes the shape that the random gives, because it is just random and the way you've got your data displayed, sometimes it doesn't look quite right. So that's why I tend to use the index, because I can have the index start counting exactly where I want. So that's kind of how I do that. So for the sake of this, we'll just leave this as the random jitter for now. But again, you could have used that. You could have used either one. Okay. Let's see. What do we do now? Oh, we need the box plot. So we go over here to our analytics pane. There's a box plot in our custom analytics. Drag custom analytics to cell. And which one do we drop it on? We're going to drop it on the age, because if we dropped it on, it would not look right. So we drop it on age. And then we get our whiskers extend to 1.5 times the inner quartile, or maximum extent of the data. So we're just going to leave that as the default there. We also have the option to hide the non-outliers or to highlight the outliers. So we'll just leave this as there right now. Style modern. You have a bunch of different options here, which is pretty interesting. So you can do that. So we'll just go ahead, keep it at modern. Borders and whiskers are fine. You have a lot of formatting options here. So there you go. So that is, for the most part, now we don't need this x-axis because it's just noise. We can go ahead and get rid of that. Do a little bit of formatting here. I'll go ahead and get rid of all my grid lines on my columns. There we go. Get rid of my 0 lines everywhere. There we go. And then the last thing he's got is, I'll hide my column, hide my labels here. If we go back and look, he's got the no playoff team. He's got that in gray and this in white. So that's just row band or column banding, where the level is all the way down and the band size is just 1, right? Now, what would happen? So that's how you do that, right? It's pretty simple. The level is on the very first level. So that's how you can kind of think about this, right? So we've got, if you look at this, we've got 1, 2, 3 levels, and we've got 1, 2, 3 marks, right? Or we've got 2 levels, but we've got 3 tick marks here. Let's see if I can zoom in here. There we go. So you can see here we've for column size we have 2 marks, and we only have 2 dimensions. Whoop, get rid of my zoom here. Get rid of my zoom here. So you can see here the level is which is the view, the team, or this playoff header, right? So here, when we have just the third level, it's only going to color. It's only going to color what's in the view. It's going to color what's in the view and in team. So it's disregarding the playoff header. But if we go all the way down, it gives everybody everything in the everything. It goes all the way down to the playoff header. So pretty interesting. So my question was, what do you want to do? What would you do? How would you do it if you actually wanted the playoff team? Because that's what we don't have control over. We do not have control over which level starts with banding and which level doesn't, right? We don't have any controls to say, well, actually, I want this level to be gray and this level to be white. Well, how do we get around that? So we have to do a little bit of trickery. So I'm just going to duplicate this sheet. I'm going to go back to normal here, right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint this entire worksheet the color that I want. Yeah, we'll do that just to make it obvious, right? So now I'm going to do everything. I'm going to paint the entire picture, the entire worksheet, this kind of dark color. And then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to set my levels, my column banding at the exact same way. And then what I'm going to do is for my colors, I'll just set those to white. And then you would just hide your title on your worksheet. And there you have it. So, kind of a trick, kind of a little bit of a hack, but it'd be really cool if Tableau would give us the ability to say, which level do you want to start the banding on? Do you want to start on the first level or the second level? So, that's really cool. Anyway, all right, let's move back. Let's move on here. So what else do we need to do here? Let's look at the requirements, make sure we've got them all. We'll do a dashboard later. I've got one sheet, connected 2 data sources, jitter plots, group the teams by whether they made the playoffs, shade to match, set a filter between, tooltips and formatting. Let's take a gander at those tooltips. So we've just got the name of the player, the team, and the age separated by a pipe. Okay, so we'll go in here. I need to bring the name in. And it's going to be centered. Bring in the name. It's going to be dark, medium, and then it's team name. This is actually going to be smaller, so we'll do team separated by pipe, age, remove that. Yep. Irvin Santana for the Royals. That's my team. I live in Kansas City. So really cool. You can do that. All right. So that looks good. So now we'll just go create our dashboard. We'll get rid of this because we don't need it anymore. Not that. This one, 12 by 8, I think is what he said. Let's see. Yep, 12 by 8. Good stuff. Let's see. Now we'll do a... Let's see, we'll bring out this guy. We'll go ahead and let's see, I'll do my dashboard title. So here's a fun thing that I do. So click show dashboard title. And then once you do that, that becomes a container or a element on your dashboard, and you can move it around. So I'll drop a horizontal in there. Drop my dashboard title into my horizontal. Take my league, and I'll just come on, there it was. Just like that. Get rid of my sheet title. And we'll say, wow, 22, week 12, can you create a jittered box plot? All right, so that is how we build a jittered box plot in Tableau. So hopefully this challenge was good. You learned a few things. Again, we focused, again, like Kyle said, we focused on the fundamentals. Didn't do anything crazy, but we learned a few things. Learned about if statements. We learned about Boolean in if statements. I did anyway. So that was good. We learned a little bit about banding and row banding and levels and band size, which is really fun. Yeah. So can you create a jittered? So hopefully you enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing them, and I will continue to do them forever. So thanks so much for following along. Thank you, Kyle, for your valued input and sticking around. I appreciate that. And yeah, I think that about does it. So we'll go ahead and call this a wrap. But thanks so much. We'll see you next week.